I tell you, we are ready to party.
They're classy too, man. I could wear this on a date.
People who are most successful are the ones who don't just give up.
We have officially partnered up with Albemarle Paper Supply. Albemarle Paper Supply services paper products within the cities of Charlotte, Concord, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Salisbury, Morrisville, and smaller cities in between. From fiber, plastic, and foam bowls, paper towels, tissues, napkins, takeout containers, gloves, to janitorial supplies, and much, much more, Albemarle Paper is dedicated to bring you the paper goods you need. Customers can pick up products directly at Albemarle Paper's warehouse located at 735 Henson Street in Albemarle, North Carolina, or products can be delivered to you at your business doorstep. Today's live is also brought to you by CL Driving School. CL Driving School is a truck driving school located in Indian Trail, offering programs for both commercial Class A and Class B licenses. With your choice between automatic and manual transmission, their classes consist of small group trainings with one instructor per truck. Training is available on weekdays, weekends, and evenings. Not only do you receive classes, but opportunities for sponsorship programs, recruiter visits, and job placement assistance also occurs. CL Driving School is also trilingual with classes offered in English, Spanish, and Arabic. Register for classes today by calling 704-821-1111. Hello and welcome to a new episode of the MLS Corner, the best corner in all of MLS, now brought to you by Apple. So RIP all those Android users, because you won't watch MLS anymore, right? We've got a jam-packed show today. We've got my man looking great in pink. Like, listen, I'm falling in love with that pink. We got Lee from CLTFC Fan TV. My man, how are you?
I'm good, Jorge, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you, my guy.
Likewise. Always good.
Nice. Awesome. And we also have a famous man now. Like, I get asked about this guy all the time now. So listen, if you're looking to grab Brian, you can't. There's a clause in his contract right now. You got to offer at least $3 million in order for him to leave. So we got my man Brian. How are you, bro?
I'm doing well, man. I'm wearing my hashtag Hope Dealer shirt today in honor of Christian Latanzio for delivering us a whole lot of hope this past weekend.
I love that, man. Good. And we've got a very, very special guest today from the opposing side. We've got my man Blake from not Girls, but MLS Gone Wild. My man Blake, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm glad that you recognize where that name originated from. I figured a lot of young MLS fans would resonate with that name, and it's a little bit of clickbait. So yeah, I'm happy that you like that.
I do, man. I liked it. I was like, okay, I bang with it. Man. So awesome, man. Well, I guess we'll get started. Blake, tell us before we get into our match and everything. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Tell us about where you're from. Maybe how you became a Columbus fan and what made you want to start MLS Gone Wild.
Yeah, so my name is Blake. I am the one and only host of MLS Gone Wild now. Shout out to all my co-hosts that are gone and doing bigger and better things with their free time now. But yeah, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I've been a Columbus Crew fan my entire life, obviously being from a soccer-specific city with a soccer-specific stadium, the first ever. Going to games growing up, playing in their youth systems growing up as well. It was just a part of me. Soccer was always a part of me. I grew up playing the game, so obviously I was a ball boy. I've been to all-star games. I've been to Eastern Conference Finals. I've been to the 2020 MLS Cup when the Columbus Crew lifted their second cup, which was awesome. And what a crazy year 2020 was. So what a way to end it. So yeah, it was just kind of in my blood. I bleed black and gold, the Columbus Crew. So I've sat in the supporter section. I've been front and center in the supporter section. I've screamed. I've cried. I've hugged my boys. It's been an awesome experience, but it's bigger than just the Columbus Crew for me. It's why I started MLS Gone Wild. I love the league. I love soccer. I want to grow it in this country. So at the beginning of the pandemic, me and my buddies were talking, how can we be productive with some of this free time that we have now that the pandemic has struck? And we decided to do a podcast. And I have ran with it ever since. I'm doing player interviews, Ben Bender. I don't know if those of you that are listening have listened to the Ben Bender interview. If you have not, go check that out. I've had other guys like Keaton Parks, DeJuan Jones, Nathan Harriel, Tsiki Nsambalang, another rookie for FC Dallas. Go check those out. So those are, you can find me anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, literally wherever. Also check me out on social media, Twitter, Instagram, MLS Gone Wild. You can find me there. And if you follow, if you listen, just know I appreciate you. And boys, I appreciate you for having me on here.
Yeah, I felt that like there was a low key dig there, though. You mentioned soccer specific stadium and a few other things, man. I feel like it was some throwing some shade our way.
Nah, there's no dig towards you guys, maybe towards like New York City FC and the New England Revolution. Like these teams have been in the league for a long time. This is your inaugural season. I'll give you guys a little bit of slack, okay?
All right,
Nice.
man.
Speaking of inaugural seasons, man, I mean, obviously all of us Charlotte fans, we know what's going on here with, the kind of Miguel phrases that have gone viral.
We're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed. He's not Harry Potter. I mean, Zorn at one point saying, "Can you do it in a rainy day in Salt Lake in Utah?" So that was, I mean, like just stuff that I'm like, yo, I feel like Charlotte is a viral content machine. But from your perception, kind of an outsider looking in, what do you made of Charlotte FC so far in our season?
Yeah, so you never really know what you're going to get with an expansion side, right? It's always kind of, we'll see what it looks like when the end product is on the field. And that was kind of my feeling with Charlotte FC as well. But now we're, over a third of the way through the season, and you guys are one of 3 teams in MLS history, expansion teams, to win 6 of your first 8 home games. Granted, we kind of know how the home field advantage goes in MLS. You guys haven't won a game away. That will come. You guys have a chance this weekend in Columbus. In our second soccer specific stadium, I will say. There's no dig there either. But I have been really, really impressed with Charlotte. And, their roster build gets a lot of criticism, but they're finding ways to get the job done. I was just listening to Extra Time before I came on here, and Brant Bronico is your guys' 6. And he's an absolute workhorse in the midfield, but he's not a guy that would start across MLS for just about any other team. And you guys have a number of guys that probably wouldn't be starters, but they've bought into this expansion side. They are playing their role. They're doing their job, and you guys are getting the job done. You guys just beat the New York Red Bulls this past weekend, which was a huge, probably a pretty good transition into the next segment. But I have been really, really impressed, and we'll probably talk about him later, but I have been super impressed with Ben Bender. I have a 9-minute podcast actually that came out last night, my shortest podcast ever, but a lot of it was talking about Ben Bender. Well, 2 minutes of it was talking about Ben Bender and how he's gone from F Columbus. Come on, guys. I see the comments going on down here.
That's the Austin boy, though. That's the Austin boy, man. What's up?
Those are the Austin boys. I feel like I have beef since last season, man.
I know who they are, man. We're buddies on Twitter. Come on now. You can't be throwing the shade. But yeah, I've been really impressed with Ben Bender and Charlotte FC as a whole. And for you guys to get your first win under Latanzio, the MLS head coaching bump, it looks good, man. I'm excited for you guys as fans. Like, I've been a fan of a Major League Soccer team in my city for a long time, so I know how it feels to get those just small victories, and they feel so good. So I'm excited for you guys.
Nice. I love that, man. I appreciate that. I mean, it's cool. It's very interesting to see the perspective of other people of our team. Some of the things I agree with you, some of them I don't, to be honest with you. But that's why we all have opinions, right? And
you know what opinions are, right?
Nice. Awesome. So let's get into a little bit of this game. Charlotte FC defeated New York Red Bulls 2-0 this weekend. Kind of want to play a quick clip for you. A game that Charlotte dominated pretty much from start to beginning. I want to say the first 10 minutes of the game, we looked a little bit uncomfortable, but after that, we got into it. And Kalina always comes in clutch with at least one save. There he is. The man himself, Ben Bender. Breaking corners everywhere you something I love to see. Look at that fan base. Our man Mackenzie Gaines saucing it up. Look at that pass. Oh my God. 2-0 win this weekend at the bank, man. I love watching our supporters celebrate.
so
It
much
is
fun.
one of the best things to see in MLS. And then I guess we'll start it off with you, Brian. Tell me about your thoughts on this game so far.
Yeah, I think what stood out to me first and foremost was just that we like really imposed our will for the majority of the game. Like, which is what Latanja said we were going to do. And I was going into it, I was like, man, especially how we looked to get in the US Open Cup match, I was iffy. I was pretty nervous going into this game overall. But like seeing how we actually imposed our will, like for the vast majority of the match. And like Alejandro Moreno, I just finished rewatching it, and Alejandro Moreno was saying that as well, like how just dominant they were. And I don't know if I've seen us do that for such a long period. Like, I mean, it was like 80 minutes of the game was like pretty much complete dominance on our end. In the second half, especially, I don't feel like there was one time when I really felt all that concerned. First half, there were a couple like mistakes on our part, but like just seeing how confident they all played together in that second half was just really fantastic to see. It was really brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I mean, Red Bull is one of the toughest away opponents in MLS coming in to Charlotte. But I mean, I think more and more people are realizing as the season goes on as well that like this is a very tough place to come and a very tough place to get wins. You know, I mean, we really only lost our inaugural match against LA Galaxy, and it took a wonder goal to beat us. I think Montreal, that's one of the two games that I criticize Miguel the most in terms of how we played, right? So our only two losses at home. Lee, give me your thoughts on this Red Bull win.
Yeah, man. So I'd say the first 10, 15 minutes, I was a little worried, man. It looked like, oh, shit, here we go, right? New manager. Fuchs is out. We're going to lose this one, man. But then the boys kind of settled. They got it together. And as we all saw, man, I say that was the best game I've seen us play all season. I mean, you know, we saw people taking one-on-ones. Mackenzie Gaines was, I mean, come on, he was silky, right? He was doing what I've been calling for all season. Balls were whipping in the box, you know, that sort of thing. You know, we had 2 goals that should have gone in, Rios and Andre, right? They should have scored those, man. I mean, there's no reason why they didn't score them other than the keeper saved them right in a bad shot. Maybe tired legs for Rios there at the end. Red card, I think, should have happened with what happened to Kalina. I mean, that was dirty. I'm glad the penalty wasn't given and it actually went to VAR. And yeah, man, other than I felt sometimes we were just kind of knocked off the ball a little bit, man, overall, man, I think we had a solid game.
Yeah, man, I agree. Also, someone mentioned it too. That penalty that they called on Corujo, that was never on penalty. But guess who was on VAR that weekend? Jorge Gonzalez.
Yeah, he should have at least got a card, man, a yellow or something for
Well, all I can do is change the call, man. I can tell the ref what to do.
I thought you had clout, man. I thought you had clout.
Blake, just for reference, the fourth official his name is Jorge Gonzalez. And so like he's like so anytime he's in one of our games, I always say, hey guys, don't worry, I got y'all this week. So it's pretty funny. I don't know, did you get a chance to see the game, Blake?
Yeah, man, Saturday was really nice here in Chesapeake, Virginia. So I had a pool day, but I did kind of watch it from the pool. I was blessed enough to be able to see a TV from the pool. And let me tell you, that's something to be able to watch the beautiful game from some nice cold pool water. So I did watch it there, but I only half-assed watch it. So I did wake up early because I liked a lot of the stuff I saw from Charlotte. So I woke up early on Sunday morning, and I'm a Columbus Crew fan, and I rewatched the entire Charlotte FC game Sunday morning. And I said it the last segment, I really like a lot about Charlotte. One thing I really noticed about this game is they weathered the storm. Lee, I believe that you said it. The first 10 minutes were a little bit rough. The New York Red Bulls look like the best pressing team in the league, which they are by a long shot. And they're pressing you guys to death. And there was one clip, I think it was from the 4th minute. You guys had the ball and like and your guys' own defensive half at the corner flag. You guys tried to clear it. It bounced back. You connected a couple passes, found Ben Bender centrally. He half turned and got out the other side to, I believe, Mackenzie Gaines, and you guys had one of the first opportunities of the game. And at that point, it looked like, okay, Charlotte FC can withstand the storm, get out of that high press that not a lot of teams can, because they will choke you out with that high press. And you guys got out the other side. And then from there, the last 75, 80 minutes were all Charlotte FC. And I remember watching the game. And then after I watch games, I like to go back and look at some of the stats. I like to look at the heat maps. I like to look at where players play primarily. And I looked at the passing network that MLS puts out. And Charlotte were very, very compact. You guys really bought in defensively. You played really narrow. You gave them the wings and you challenged them to beat you that way. And they didn't. New York Red Bulls switched to more of like a wing back system. John Tolkien and Lewis Morgan played higher up the pitch in the second half. And Joseph Mora and even Harrison Afful, who I thought had a pretty rough game. He looked slow. Shout out to Harrison, big Crew fan over here, but he showed his age this weekend. But you guys challenged them to beat you down the wings, and they really couldn't do it. So I thought Charlotte looked really good. It's your best and biggest win of the season. So shout out to you guys for that. One thing that I'm concerned about the Red Bulls, this isn't a Red Bulls podcast. I said a minute ago, they're the highest pressing team in the league. They press you to death. They press you into submission. But I'm afraid now that they've pressed themselves into submission, because after the first 10 minutes, they looked gassed. Yeah. And you guys had the majority of the ball, and you beat them with the ball.
It's funny you say that. When we went to a Fuchs beer release, right, and we're talking to some of the players and asking them how they felt about the upcoming game, and they were talking about how the Red Bulls, like even in the cup, you know, about 60, 70 minutes in, they were just getting tired and that sort of thing. So, you know, welcome to the South.
I agree. I think they underestimated that as well, in terms of, you know, like you're coming at 3 p.m. on a Saturday in Charlotte, North Carolina, which even the weather right now, I feel like isn't June weather. Like this feels like late July, August weather to me.
It's like 100 degrees today.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, even that, like they, after 10 minutes, they were definitely gassed. And I think one of the issues we had at the beginning too, and we saw, was like, we were moving the ball way too slow and way too comfortable from the back. Like if you remember that one, Kalina had the ball and took forever to clear it, and that almost turned into a goal opportunity for the Red Bulls, right? So I think a mixture of that, like you said, the pressing and us being a little bit slow on the ball gave them those first 10, 15 minutes. But after that, we completely dominated. And it's great to point out these things too. We dominated without our two DPs in Camille and Carroll, right? We dominated without our U22 players, Kerwin Vargas and Vinicius Melo. We dominated without our young DP, Jordi Alcivar. And we dominated without our captain, Christian Fuchs. So, I mean, we've had all these different players, some missing, some that just didn't get played, and we still played a phenomenal game. So I think that has something to say about this squad as well, who I think, and I mentioned this on the last show, this squad wanted to come out here and prove that, like, you know what the coaches said before, that the team was screwed, that this team isn't good enough yet. Like, they wanted to show that they are a team that can compete, and they did it this weekend.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it was good to see the bounce, right, off of the new manager. I mean, there had to be some pressure on the players, right? But I think we got lucky that the international break was there, / we were at home, right? So the fans could get behind them, so we could let those boys know, hey, man, we got you back regardless of what happens on the pitch, right? So, yeah, it was I had a lot of fun, man. It was a good day.
Yeah, it seemed like they also just had like more belief in them, like in themselves. And I think a lot of that comes from Latanzio too, just in terms of like, I mean, Christian Fuchs in his press conference clearly showed like the players have a lot of belief in their ability in themselves.
Had a lot more freedom, man. A lot more freedom.
Yeah, and I think that shows in like Latanzio knowing like, hey, you have the ability to take people on. You have that skill. Do it. Like Gaines, I think, is a perfect example of that. Like, hey, you have the pace. You can burn these guys. Just go do it. Enjoy it. Like, and I think a lot of those players kind of had that.
You're touching a little bit on it, but that's one of my questions as well. And I want to hear from everybody in the comment section as well. What kind of changes did you guys notice specifically with this Latanzio team versus maybe what you've seen under Miguel?
I'd just say after the first 10, 15 minutes, man, we settled and we played our game, right? We were faster. I mean, there was still, like you mentioned earlier, there's still some periods where we kind of slowed down. We went all the way back to Kalina. But, like, have we seen any forwards take on a defender? I mean, I can't really, not the way that Gaines did this game, man. Like, you knew if it was a Mickey system, that shit was going all the way back, dude. Or at least it's going back to midfield. So just seeing that and how quick we were playing, the boys were whipping balls in the boxes, man. It was just a completely different team.
Yeah. We were whipping boxes in, and there was 3 or 4 players trying to get at the end of those.
Dude, how many people do we have on the back post finally, right?
Yeah. Sliding into the goal. It was beautiful.
Yeah. It didn't make it to him half the time, but hey, we had somebody there ready.
For sure. And I mean, also another thing to point out, I think, was like we had more designed set pieces, right? Like we looked way more threatening in our corners, in our free kicks this game than any other game I can think of, right?
Yeah. I just say, man, if we can get this monkey off our back with the no away wins, like the MLS better watch out, man.
100%.
You're laughing at Blake.
Nothing, because the next game's against the Crew. But now
I'm just saying if we can get that off our back, right? If we, I feel like we'll at least get a point from you guys.
And look, okay, I'm sure we'll get to predictions later. We'll see.
Yeah,
but I mean, getting away results in MLS is hard. Like the Crew didn't get an away win for like 25, 26 games. And right before the international break, I almost said got lucky, but we beat Atlanta 2-1 in Atlanta. And we got our first away win in what seemed like forever. So getting that monkey off your back, getting over that hump, and being able to win away from home is huge. You have this huge emotional high when you're playing in front of all the Charlotte FC fans, right? Like you got a new coach, you're playing in front of the Charlotte FC fans. You want to win. So yeah. So the next challenge is going to be winning away. But since you guys are talking about the changes, one thing that I noticed, and it's probably recency bias, but Andre Shinyashiki looked really sharp this past game. I'm not sure if he hasn't looked sharp in the past games, but he looked really good defensively, always working back on that left side. And he looked like he was fully bought in. Like we talk about the new coach bump in MLS. And I think a lot of that has to do with, okay, there's a newfound sense of hope. There's a new way forward for a team. This guy really believes in us. And I think that Andre Shinyashiki, who just came from Colorado, who was the rookie of the year a couple years ago, came into a situation that, according to all the reports, probably wasn't a great situation for a new player to come into, right? And in this last game, under a brand new head coach, not really a new system in any way, missing a lot of players, but he kind of took it upon himself, like defending down in the corner, helping out Joseph Mora in the defensive third. He looked like he was bought in, and that goes a long way. And then it was talked about Mackenzie Gaines, the freedom to go forward and get in behind, and the verticality with Mackenzie Gaines, like he's fast. We saw a glimpse of that when he scored his lone goal for Austin FC, and we saw it a lot this past game against the New York Red Bulls. Now it's just going to be, can he add the finishing product to it?
Yeah, man. And I think that's
start.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us are seeing. I mean, like if Mackenzie Gaines' end product was just 20% better, the guy would be one of the best players in MLS, one of the best attacking wingers in MLS, in my opinion.
That's a take. I love that. Clip it, baby.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you saw it this weekend what he can do, but sometimes it seems like his body moves faster than his legs. And, like you see him kind of trip over the ball and stuff like this happens. But I do also want to touch on some of the changes that Latanzio also made. I was really surprised, to be honest with you. I never felt, after those first 10 minutes, I never felt like this is a game that, Red Bulls can come back into. The only moment I felt that was when he made the subs. When I saw Sergio come in, when I saw Derek Jones come in, when I saw Jan Sobocinski come in, I was like, okay, like this man is typical Italian style, trying to 1-0, like let's close up shop. That was my thoughts, based off the subs that he was making. But you know what? They ended up working out, right? I mean,
to his defense, man, if we did that against Seattle when we was 1-up, man, we might have won that.
Right. But I mean, like I've said before, I stick with if we're playing possession-based attacking football, right? Like to me, I don't mind seeing subs that are change for change. You're changing wingers for wingers, right? Unless this is the MLS Cup final and we're winning 1-0, bro, play it. Play Atletico Madrid style, 5-5-0. I don't care as long as we win, right? But through the season, I thought those were some interesting changes, but it ended up working out. You saw Jan Sobczynski get his first MLS debut, which was great to see him out there finally. You saw Sergio assist Derek Jones and make it a comfortable win for us for 2-0.
So I do have a question for you guys about changes. I'm just looking at it right now. Harrison Afful's only started 2 games this season. This past game against the New York Red Bulls was one of them. Was there a knock on Jalen Lindsey, or why did Harrison Afful start this past weekend?
I honestly think because Harrison provides a little bit more than Jalen going forward, and so I could see that, like you could tell, in my opinion, his crossing, his ability to provide in the final third to our wingers is way better than Jalen's. I think Jalen is more sound defensively. Going forward, his crossing to me is a little inconsistent.
Well, and then you also saw what Harrison Awful and Joseph and Mora would do oftentimes when they were building up from the back, they would pull up and go into the middle and sort of join Bronico almost like in like a double or a triple pivot and like sort of make a circle of all 5 of them. And so I think Harrison Awful provides almost more of like a central midfielder in some of those instances. And then there was, I forget exactly when it was, but Awful became sort of like a midfield provider. It was like in the second half, like 70th minute or so, and provided Shinyashiki in for a cross. And so I think that's again like what he kind of provides is like not only a fullback, but in the way they were trying to build out of the back, a lot of times was they were sort of bringing in a double pivot, and oftentimes that was Awful there, pulling in as a double pivot alongside Bronico.
Wasn't Lindsey hurt though, like a week or 2 ago? Didn't he have some sort of knock or something?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I can't remember, but I really don't think he did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what we think the main reasoning was behind that.
So. Yeah, and I agree with it. Being a Columbus Crew fan, like I've seen Harrison Afful's quality in the final third, the way he can whip in an out swinging cross from deep and find a guy like Giassi Zardes for the Columbus Crew, could be Danny Rios for you guys. But just finding a striker that's going to make those early runs and anticipate that ball from Harrison Afful. I've always said when he was a Columbus Crew player, one of the most dangerous ways the Columbus Crew player when Harrison Afful's on the ball at the almost in the middle third, and he just whips in that outswinger and just finds the striker's head inside the 18. Like it's so dangerous. It's unpredictable. And so, yeah, I completely agree. Like if you guys can unlock that Harrison Afful, I love him going forward for you guys.
Yeah, but like you said, he's 35 now, 36,
he looked slow defensively.
Yeah, he does.
Rightfully so, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I know we touched a little bit about on Mackenzie Gaines, but we also have to touch on Joseph Moore. These are 2 players that we've given up, that the fan base has given a lot of stick to, sometimes fairly, right? But sometimes I feel like a little bit unfairly. And so talk to me about, I know we've touched on a little bit on Mackenzie, but if you want to expand on it, or Joseph Mora, and I'll let you start, Lee.
Yeah, Mora definitely come leaps and bounds since the beginning of the season, right? Even down in Charleston, we were worried, like we would always say that left side was our weak side, right? But I think he played a solid game this week. We can look at the stats, and I know me and you have argued back and forth over this since Saturday, Jorge, about, I just felt sometimes, and yes, it was the Red Bulls, right? I felt sometimes that he just got knocked off the ball easy, kind of got, jockeyed out of position a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's a small fella anyways, right? So maybe he's just light, but, I like to see a little more grit out of him, if that makes any sense. But overall, I'd say he's definitely come a long way. I feel more confident now that he's on the left than I would say about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And and Mackenzie, he's definitely he's changed his shit up 100% this weekend.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, Joseph Mora did what he needed to do defensively, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not expecting him to, bomb down the ball and give you a pass like a fool does.
Mhm.
I feel like that's why that mix was there as well. And so, I mean, in terms of left backs, he's the guy. I do definitely think we need to add another left back in the summer, but he's been completely solid for us. Brian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that stood out for me from Mora is just the timing of his tackles. I mean, they were just really on point, and oftentimes they would also kind of lead into a transition, which also was pretty new for me to see from Charlotte FC. I feel like our transition out of like winning the ball back and second balls was like way more efficient overall. And Mora, I think, played a big part of that just in terms of his tackling, because his tackling was like he was just on it, and completely neutralized, specifically Luquinhas, who was like, I'd say the Red Bulls' best creative player, and he like had a huge role in neutralizing him. And I think it was just really fantastic to watch, specifically his tackling. I think also the thing about Mackenzie Gaines for me, I mean, besides like he created the two biggest opportunities of the entire game, that pass to Rios. I mean, a Trivela outside full, like just in transition, took on the entire line and just blew past them, full sprint outside of the boot, Trivela pass on a plate to Rios. I mean, it was. I mean, that's I think a glimpse of what Mackenzie Gaines can be. Like, I mean, because you can't stop that, right? I mean, there's nobody on their back line, and most back lines in MLS that can stop that speed. And if you can add that final touch, like on that play, I mean, it was just, I mean, that was super class. And then his other one-time touch was to Shinyashiki for his shot, and he had a clear 1v1 with the goalkeeper as well. So I think at times Mackenzie Gaines has just a fantastic glimpses of just like what he can be, and his physical attributes are just, I mean, completely off the charts. And so I think that's what makes fan base hungry for more, is because they can see the pace and just like, man, if he could just finish it up,
It just
I mean,
gets the
he would
crowd.
have a goal scorer, like, because he could literally blow past everybody.
I got the crowd. You could feel it in the supporter section when he was taking those players on. You could just feel the roar sort of coming up, man. It was like, let's fucking do this, right? We're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it well.
And so I think that's where the what sort of like is the double-edged sword for Gaines, is like people can see this really high level of athleticism and just not quite see the final technique yet. And I think that's what kind of makes people turn on him also, right? Because people can like you can see what he could become.
100%. I agree with that. I mean, it'll be very interesting to me now, our attacking options, what front three we use. You know what I'm saying? Because really,
like, Arrow is going to get the start. It's just a matter of who else is beside him, right?
Yeah. So, but we'll see. I mean, these are great problems that you want to have as a coach. You know what I'm saying? And it's good for Latanzio to kind of get like that monkey off the back of getting a win. That way, you know, if we pull off a win against Columbus Crew, the Miguel kind of stuff is already being pushed out. A win against Columbus, like we won't even remember who he is.
Who?
You know what I'm saying? So let's talk a little bit about the Crew. Blake, tell us about the Crew so far this season, what you've liked, what you haven't liked. What can we expect from this Columbus Crew who currently sit below us in the table?
Now that's a dig right there.
Is this, bro? The table doesn't lie, my guy. The table doesn't.
You guys
lie.
have played 2 more matches than us. I will start by saying that. But the Columbus Crew sit 10th in the East on a 4-5-4 record. We have 1.23 points per game. You guys are sitting on 1.27. The Crew are 3-3-0 at home. And we've already talked about how Charlotte are on the road. So it's going to be an uphill battle and an opportunity to get a monkey off their back for them. So good luck in that regard. Dating back to 2019, the Columbus Crew have not lost to a team playing in their expansion season. So the Columbus Crew have a good record, at least in the last 3 seasons.
Records are made to be broken.
That's true. It's very, very true. You're playing devil's advocate here very well, Lee.
Yeah.
Quarter out. Am I right, Blake? Hold on, Vaughn. Hold on a second. We're not quite there yet. We're gonna work through this a little bit. But yeah, so the Columbus Crew are 10th in the East. Charlotte are 6th. It should be an interesting matchup. one thing to note about the Columbus Crew is they have not beaten a team above the playoff line. And you guys sit above the playoff line. So now you see where we're kind of in this weird middle ground. You know, the Crew don't lose to expansion sides, but they also don't beat teams above them. So we'll see how that goes. But what else do you guys want to know about the Crew? You tell me, and I'll give you guys more specifics.
Listen, you've been interesting play. Obviously, the one that sticks out to me the most is Zelarayan. You know, I feel like you guys, after winning the MLS Cup, kind of just became a team. I don't want to say that's irrelevant, but just became inconsistent, right? And I mean, we're seeing it again this season.
I asked that question because I kind of wanted you to take me there. So yes, the Columbus Crew did win MLS Cup 2020. I was there. It was a beautiful moment, man. One of the best moments of my life. It was awesome. Hold it near and dear to my heart. But yeah, 2021 was just a really poor season for the Columbus Crew. Von Pullman just said it in the comments there that, no, I'm not picking Charlotte to win 2-1. Stop distracting me with this nonsense. But Von just said Porter out. Am I right? And Caleb Porter historically struggles the season after winning MLS Cup. He won an MLS Cup in Portland. The year after that, they missed the playoffs. Last year, or 2020 for the Columbus Crew, they won the MLS Cup. 2021, they did not make the playoffs. Last year, we were injury riddled, though. We lost Aiden Morris in CONCACAF Champions League. We lost Artur. Artur didn't play, so we had Marlon Harrison, a guy that's played every position for every team in MLS, playing the 6'8" for the Columbus Crew. We had guys filling in at every position. So last year was kind of like we had an excuse, right? Like none of us wanted to accept our fate because of all the injuries, but like it was what it was. And now here we are sitting in 2022 and we're healthy again, kind of, although we're taking some injuries. We took some injuries from the Atlanta match, but no, Lucas Zelarayan is the main guy for the Columbus Crew. And if we want to talk about some of the other main guys, the guy that I think has been the most important piece to the Columbus Crew so far this season is a guy that you guys probably wouldn't expect. And I don't know if you guys know the normal starting 11 for the Columbus Crew, but like you would usually say Lucas Zelarayan, right? He's got 4 goals on the season. He's the number 10. He was 2020 MLS Cup MVP. But no, for me, it's Pedro Santos, the converted left back from left winger. He has been phenomenal this year. What's my guy's name? Valenzuela. Valenzuela left this past offseason. Our starting left back in the 2020 MLS Cup left in this past offseason to go home. And we didn't have a left back. We signed Will Sands from NYCFC to a homegrown contract, but he's not quite up to par yet. So we're starting Pedro Santos back there. And Pedro Santos has been phenomenal. We know what we're going to get from him offensively. I've talked about it on my podcasts, on other podcasts. What I love about Pedro Santos is going forward, his ability to, and his willingness to try to play the difficult pass. The Columbus Crew, the big knock on the Crew has been, okay, we play Caleb Porter ball. And what is Caleb Porter ball? It's just these repetitive, simple patterns of play, playing a U shape around the back, playing to your wing backs, playing up the wing, and really ignoring the play centrally and not really driving the game forward through the middle. And we have a phenomenal core of Jonathan Mensah, Darlington Nagbe. Like those two guys are phenomenal players. Darlington Nagbe is one of the best 6s or 8s in the league.
Right.
But Pedro Santos brings something different to the Columbus Crew that nobody else on this team offers. And he's doing it from a left back position because he has that mentality of playing higher up the pitch. He's constantly trying to find our 10, Lucas Zelarayan, whoever's playing in that role that day if he's out, or he's constantly trying to chip a ball over 2 defenders to find our striker, whether it's Miguel Perry or Eric Curtado. So he's always willing to play the tough pass. Okay, but we can expect that. But like what he's really blown me away with is his sharpness and how quick he is adapted to and just taking it upon himself to really make this left back spot his own. And he's done a really good job. And I think he was a couple of weeks ago, he was like leading in tackles and interceptions combined in the league. And he's probably top 5 right now. I'm not sure. But when I look at the Columbus Crew fullbacks of Pedro Santos and Steven Moreira, who was Harrison's full successor for the Columbus Crew, both of those guys have stepped up big time. And not only have they done a great job defensively, they've also been a huge piece in the attack. And if I'm going to continue talking about players, another guy that I have to talk about is Derek Etienne Jr. because Von Pullman just said it. One of the biggest knocks in the Columbus Crew last year, outside of Lucas Elorion, was where's the creativity coming from, and why is it not coming from the wingers? The Columbus Crew constantly bring in wingers. This year, Yaya Boa, James Igbakeme that can play the 8 or the wing, Luis Diaz, who's kind of been injury riddled this year, but then Derek Etienne Jr. He scored an MLS Cup. He was a staple in the New York Red Bulls a couple years ago. He got his swagger back at the beginning of the season, and it's kind of dwindled out since then. But if we can get that Derek Etienne Jr. back where he can kind of play inverted and allow Pedro Santos that whole left channel to run down, then we're cooking, because Derek Etienne Jr. does have the technical ability. He plays for the Haitian international team. He can cut inside. He has really good feet, really good vision. He could probably play the 10 if we really needed him to, if Lucas Elorion was out, but we're not going to do that. But Derek Etienne Jr. is another really important piece to this team. I could go on and on about important pieces to this team, boys.
No, this is great.
Everybody's important, obviously, but
yeah, gives us a good insight on Columbus. What does Columbus need to do to win this game?
So the past 4 games that the Columbus Crew have earned a result, they have not won the possession battle. So recently, the Columbus Crew the past couple of years have been a team that's known for being ball dominant. They're going to beat you with the ball at their feet. I talked about Porter Ball earlier, the patterns of play that Caleb Porter deploys for the Columbus Crew, and it's predictable. And if you guys look back, or if any fans look back to the Columbus Crew's last win against Atlanta United, we scored off of a corner. I believe Jonathan Mensah scored in the first minute, but then Eric Curtado, the Columbus Crew were kind of bunkering against Atlanta, conceding possession, letting them build. And then we bombed a ball. Josh Williams bombed a ball over top to Eric Curtado, who's got that Mackenzie Gaines speed, beats a guy one-on-one, literally one pass, and we're in on net. So being able to be tactically flexible between being ball dominant and also just being smart, and then conceding the pressure and then applying the pressure, and just having those moments is important, because Charlotte's also a team that has over average 50% possession per game. I don't think that the Columbus Crew at home are going to concede possession. I don't think we're going to bunker in any sense. I think it's going to be pretty even, but I do think that's something interesting to look out for, that the last 4 times the Crew have gotten a result, they don't have the majority possession. Something else to look out for is the Columbus Crew are pretty good defensively. So like, we probably shouldn't give up too much against you guys. I'll say that lightly. Unless Swiderski's back, we're pretty sound defensively. 3rd fewest goals allowed, 4th lowest expected goals against. We've had some pretty poor defensive set piece moments, and we've had a few mistakes at the back. But other than that, we've been really good. Something that I'm really interested to see, though, is how the midfield battle unfolds. Lucas Elorion had a knock. He did not start or play against Atlanta before the international break. I'm honestly not sure if he's recovered yet, because injury reports, like you guys know, don't drop until Thursday. So I'm kind of in the dark here. If I had to pick a starting 11, I really wouldn't even know who's available, because we have a couple guys with knocks. But we do pivot from like a 4-2-3-1 when Lucas Elorion is available, and he's playing as that middle 3 of that 4-2-3-1. He's playing as that 10 with a double pivot behind him. But when he's not available, we play with that 4-3-3, a lone 6 of probably Darlington Nagbe. And then Artur also went down in Atlanta. So is it Aiden Morris and James Igbakeme at the 8s to drive the game forward and facilitate from there? I don't know. If we don't have Elorion, that's what I hope to see. But I talked about what Charlotte did against the Red Bulls earlier. They made the game really compact, and they really clogged the midfield. So it's going to be just a really interesting matchup in the Columbus Crew and Charlotte FC midfield, and just see how that unfolds, see where the number advantage is, because each team throws extra guys into the midfield all game long. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see who's available and see how that unfolds in the midfield. But then another thing, the Columbus Crew, like, scoring goals has been difficult. Like Lucas Elorion, outside of him, Derek Etienne Jr. has scored 3. But like, where are we getting production from up top? Like, we have a 2-striker fiasco scenario, whatever you want to call it, going on right now between Miguel Perry and Eric Curtado. And I have a pretty alarming stat that, if Columbus Crew fans are listening now or listening later, is kind of alarming. And I think you guys should think it's alarming too. So Miguel Perry, who's played 814 minutes, only has 4 shots on target and 2 goals. So yeah, that goals to shots on target ratio is really freaking good. But to only have 4 shots on target in 814 minutes is alarming. We need more production from that number 9 spot, right? And then you look at Eric Curtado, 118 minutes, 3 shots on goal, and 2 goals. So, like, right now, if I'm the Columbus Crew and what I said earlier, if we're going to concede possession and play kind of counter-attacking football, Eric Hurtado is the guy. He's going to stretch the line. He's going to get in behind, and he's shown that there's the efficiency is there. It's at least better than Miguel Perry, and it's at least going to probably take us through the international transfer window, the summer transfer window. So you got to play the hot hand here. I would play Hurtado over Barry. So those are some of the things I'm looking for.
Like Wesley asked, 2-1 Blake, Charlotte?
No, I don't think so. Like, the Columbus Crew are really good defensively, and to be honest with you, Charlotte are pretty good too for an expansion side.
Yeah, we're just going to give this video clip to Latanzio, man, so that way he knows exactly
For
how
real,
you guys
bro. I absolutely love the knowledge that you came in here with.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
all of
right,
this is
man.
great, especially us that don't follow, Columbus as well. It's given us,
I mean, why would
So, Brian, I kind of pose the same question to you, man. What does Charlotte need to do to beat Columbus Crew this weekend?
I think they're going to have to probably, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like he said, that midfield battle is going to be pretty intense, but I think what it's a lot of inexperience from Charlotte versus a lot of experience from Columbus Crew, especially like players like Darlington Nabby. So it's how does Latanzio set them up for success? Because Columbus Crew is going to come with a lot of experience in moments and know how to handle situations quicker on the fly. So I think Latanzio is going to play a huge role in terms of how can he set them up for success tactically, even though they're going up against a team that's far more experienced than them in a lot of ways, especially in that midfield spot. I think my biggest question was Miguel Perry to you, Blake, because it seemed like that was such a huge thing going into the season. That's why Giassi kind of hit the bench and then moved on, was because they had a ton of hype around this guy. And then he really has kind of fallen off. And so I think we will be able to, I mean, just based on what I've seen from Columbus so far, we'll be able to like hold our own defensively, especially I think from what I've seen from Walks this past game. I think I'm not as concerned as I used to be about Fuchs starting. I feel like up until this last week, if we didn't have Fuchs in, I just was like questioning our defense immediately. But I feel like with how Mora has been playing and Walks as a potential option in the back, I think we can hold our own against Columbus's attack. But I think it'll come down to our midfield versus their midfield, and then also how do we create in the final third. There was a really intense stat that was brought up in this last game that I thought was really important from Charlotte, was that we've only converted 9% of our chances in the box, which is the lowest in the league and the 4th lowest all time since 2010.
Wow.
That was a stat that they dropped on ABC. And I just saw that. I was like, Jesus, that is terrible. And so, which is why a lot of fans were like really kind of like freaking out early on about like, why aren't there runners in the box? Right. That's like, that solves that problem. Right. And so also, like, does Latanzio continue to be, and we got one of those goals in the last game. We got a sitter to Derek Jones off of a really nice play by Sergio. Right. And so can we see more of those situations come up? Because we are going to need to find those kind of finishes moving forward, not just against Columbus, but in general. But I think can we find that? Because like you said, Columbus is pretty compact. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to break them down at least once,
100%. I mean, this is where exactly, like, just adding on to what you're saying is in that battle of the midfield, right? Like, we've been crying to see an attacking midfielder, right? Okay, Titi Ortiz, this is your moment to be that facilitator to, prove to us that you're the guy that we need in that attacking role, right? So it'll be very interesting to see. He had a great game against Red Bulls, but I want to see him against an opposition like Columbus. I want to see him away, right? What can you provide for us to make the fan base think that you're the long-term solution, not just the loan, right? Anything you want to add, Lee?
No, I just say, like, man, what do we have to lose as Charlotte, right? We haven't won a away game, So let's just come out and play our game, right? I'm very confident in our back four. We got Kalina back there. Now, instead of us trying to play that possession game where it's just slow and boring and we're passing it back and back, let's just go out like we did this weekend.
We might have a really boring game on our hands, guys.
No, I think we're going to come out, man. I think we're going to come out and we're going to play just like we did against the Red Bulls. And I think, with Carroll back in, I mean, if Gaines starts and he can get some of those crosses in, or even like we mentioned earlier with a Fool, right? If he can get those crosses into Carroll, it's going to be a lot different Charlotte FC than what we've seen in the past 12 games.
Right. And that's what we wanted. Go ahead.
So I will hop in here. We're talking about Harrison Afful starting. If I was Latanzio in this game, I would not start Harrison Afful on the right wing, playing up against Derek Etienne Jr., who has that speed, who has that pace. And we've seen as Crew fans and people who've watched the Crew this year that Derek Etienne Jr. and Lucas Elleron, they polarize towards one another. They like to get into tight spaces with one another and combine. And honestly, if I was Charlotte FC, that wouldn't be what I was concerned about. I would be concerned with Derek Etienne Jr. coming inside, becoming an inverted left winger, and then you have Pedro Santos as well. And it almost becomes an overload situation. And then you have to bring all those guys over to support Harrison Afful, a slow and aging Harrison Afful. So I would be really careful about starting Harrison Afful because, granted, I think Harrison Afful is going to have, if he does start, he's going to have his moments going forward. But I think primarily the Columbus Crew are going to push him back. That left side of Derek Etienne Jr. and Pedro Santos are going to push Harrison Afful back. And I think you're going to prioritize that defensive ability of Jalen Lindsey over Harrison Afful's attacking ability in this game is what I would prefer.
100% agree with you there as well. So it'll definitely be a very interesting game this weekend for sure. Especially, from the Charlotte fan base, we want to see what this team can actually do going away. This is going to be a great opportunity for us to get our first 3 points, hopefully, But I mean,
I hope, definitely.
But like, to be fair, like someone pointed this out to me, like, don't you think Red Bulls came into the game against Charlotte thinking that this was a great opportunity for them to get 3 points?
Yeah, and Columbus is thinking the same thing because we're on the road.
Good point too, And so last but not least, we have to end the show with some score predictions. Man. So I guess
Blake actually says 2-1 Charlotte.
It depends on how much you pay me, man.
Well, you're an Arsenal fan. It should be pretty easy, right? Like $5.
I knew you were going to say that.
I want to hear from everybody in the comment section too. Lee, I'll start off with you, my man. Give us your score prediction. Yeah.
I think 2-1 Charlotte, man. I honestly do.
2-1 Charlotte. Anyone in particular you want to see scoring?
That I want to see score?
Or that will score?
I think Carroll will score for sure, right? I think he's going to come back off of playing with Poland to be ready to go. And I don't know, man. Maybe we'll see a defender. Let's go with Guzman getting a header on a corner.
Okay. Nice. How about you, Brian?
I think 1-0 Charlotte. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game. I think it's going to be pretty scrappy at times. And I think Gaines is going to cut in behind one time, finally see a really beautiful cross in from the byline, and Carroll's going to be there for the finish.
Oh, nice.
Another clean sheet, huh? 2 on the trot?
Yeah.
Blake, man, tell us, how much do you think Charlotte FC is going to win by?
I hate being put in these situations. I think the Columbus Crew extend their win streak to 2, and they get 3 wins in their last 11. And Charlotte FC are still winless away from home. I think the Columbus Crew win 1-0 at home, which isn't a bad thing for Charlotte.
It's not 3 points.
What do you mean not a bad thing for Charlotte?
Really not. Let's go up there and lose, fellas.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win MLS Cup, man. Come on.
It's not that bad, man. You guys lost on the road.
Yeah, all you did was lose. It ain't that bad.
All right.
We're not in week 2 anymore, all right? We're not cool with 1-0 losses from Galatzos after an Alvarez anymore.
I tried to make it sound better, and it just didn't work. But yeah, 1-0 Columbus.
Nice.
Okay.
Right. And I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Charlotte FC win this weekend. it'll be a tight game, but I think Mackenzie Game pulls this win for us. What he couldn't do against Colorado Rapids, he will do this weekend. Put us ahead 1-0, and we will take all 3 points.
Is this the first time you predicted us to win on the road, Jorge?
No, I thought we would win against Orlando, but
Yeah.
you saw how that turned out. So this is the second time I predict that we're going to win. Hopefully this time it comes true, right? And then before we end it, Lee, my man, where can we find you at?
All the socials at CLTFC Fan TV. A little late on the fan interviews today, but they should be dropping here either tonight or first thing in the morning. Live show, obviously, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Jorge will be on. I just want to give a little dig to somebody you did an interview with this morning, Jorge. His name's Mac. You might have heard of him, right? Put a little low-key kind of dig on us Spurs fans. So, yeah, I got an eye on you, Mac.
Nice, man. Give it to him, bro. Give it
That's
to him.
right.
Nice. Brian, my man, you've been killing it recently with the articles as well. I also want to shout out Tyler, who has just joined our team as well and put out an amazing TIFO article. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read it. Hopefully you did. If not, it's on our website and it's on all our socials right now. So Brian, tell us a little bit about where we can find you, bro.
Yeah, man. So you can find me at on Twitter at BA Maurer Media. And again, like you can find all my content and all my writing and work right now either at topbin90.com or I've also gotten some pieces out on Charlotte FC Insiders fan page as well. So that most of my content is long form written in analytics.
100%. And then Blake, my man, you did a phenomenal job today. Honestly, it was great. Not only did you come here prepared with Columbus stats and kind of give us a good idea of who to look out for, the style of play, but also you knew your Charlotte stuff as well, which is great, man. It's great seeing that insight from outsider looking in. Where can we find you at?
Yeah, so on social, MLS Gone Wild, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. I will interact with you on Instagram. Any Charlotte fans, if you want to dive into my mentions, give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys about Charlotte, any kind of MLS. As far as the podcast goes, I'm audio only. Unlike you guys got the cool video platform, but I'm audio only. You can listen to me on Spotify, Apple, wherever you guys get your podcasts. MLS Gone Wild. Search it, subscribe, like, review, do all those good things, man.
Love it. Love it. And as you guys know, you're here. Thank you. You can find us everywhere on Top Bin 90. Listen, man, I want to give a shout out to all the fans. You guys, the love and support that you show Lee and I and Brian and Blake now is unreal. I mean, this weekend we surpassed 3K on Twitter. We surpassed 2K on Instagram. We're really close to 1K on Facebook and YouTube. And things are continuing to grow. I know I got to pick up my TikTok again. That was a big one for us for a while.
TikTok's hard, man. TikTok's hard.
Well, I had a good rhythm going. We got to like 3,300 followers. I still honestly think it's our biggest following. And but yeah, I just want to say shout out to all the Charlotte FC fans. You know, we try to put out great content for you guys, and we appreciate every single one of you. And thank you so much for joining another episode of the MLS Corner. Have a great night. Woo-woo!